Okay, Jeff Balza, I'm present. Eric Diamond,
Present.
Mike Dixon, is absent. Rachel Drake,
Present.
Vicky Cooper, absent. Diane Lyon is absent. Tony McMillan, Don Echeverry, absent. Robert Munson.
Present.
All right, we have a quorum.
Okay, item number 2.01. First, I'll just ask, is there any public comment to start? Okay, thank you. Item 2.01, presentation, discussion of the Washoe County School District Insurance Internal Service Fund as of September 2022. And welcome.
Thank you, Robert. Mark Mathers, Chief Financial Officer for the record. Due to some vacancies and workload issues, I am very happy to be able to present these financials to you today. So again, the context, I think, of why we do this, but you can correct me if I'm wrong, if you have a different perspective on it, I think is to give you context, give this committee context on a quarterly basis for you to assess trends in our two funds here, the health insurance fund, which is an internal service fund, and then our wellness fund, that's a special revenue fund. And, you know, by looking at trends, hopefully that gives you a better insight into assessing the financial soundness of those two funds and as you look at rates later in the year. So with that, I will go over these financials at a high level. Again, it's just these financials concern the first quarter of the fiscal year. The fiscal year starts on July 1. So the numbers you see represent actual transactions, not budget, for the first 3 months of the fiscal year. And so with that, on the first page, of course, we do have the comparative state of net position for the health insurance fund. When we say net position, you might think of it as fund balance. Accountants call it net position for proprietary fund. And so we compare the first 3 months, or actually this is a moment in time, September 30th of 2022 to September 30th of 2021, again, to give you some sense of kind of just trends. And so you can see on that first page, total current assets as of September 30th of 2022 at $38.4 million, and that compares to last year at this time, $41.8 million. So we did see a drop in total current assets of $3.38 million. You can see there cash of $36.2 million as of September 30th, and then $2.2 million of accounts receivables, which are just basically billings or revenues that were earned in the period but not yet received. And I am told that $2.2 million represents pharmacy rebates. Then going down the page, you can see the various liabilities that are accrued for that period of time, and very close to, in terms of total liabilities, very close to last year at this time. And so then you go to the bottom line here. Again, our total net position has dropped $3.3 million. We'll go into some of the reasons why. I wouldn't be too troubled or concerned at this point. Again, this is just 3 months. And there's some volatility to expenses and revenues that always happens. So, but certainly not a number we don't, that we're dismissive of. We'll just have to continue to monitor trends throughout the fiscal year and see if that figure stabilizes or where we go from here. Any questions? Nope. Okay. Page 2 is the statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in net position. So this represents activity over the first 3 months of the fiscal year from July 1 through September 30th. And so we start with revenues. You can see total plan revenues have decreased from nearly $16 million last fiscal year at this time to now $15.02 million, a drop of $964,000. And kind of looking at those numbers, drilling down a little bit. Certainly, as you all, I'm sure, know, the district has a number of vacancies, and unfortunately that problem has gotten worse over time. So certainly that would produce less premium revenue as we have less bodies in positions, and we have perhaps greater turnover, and there's that 90-day waiting period. So there's a little bit of drop in PPO premiums that you see. And then the other, issue that we see is I'm told there's 5% less dependent revenue than employees are contributing. So I guess that maybe is a reflection of lower birth rates, less dependents. So between those two facts, again, nearly $1 million less in planned revenue and $1.1 million less in total operating revenues. So total operating revenues for the period was $18 million compared to $19 million last year at this time, through the first, again, 3 months of the fiscal year. Any questions? Okay, moving on to page 3 then. Total medical expenses in the top third of the page were $14.4 million for the first 3 months of the fiscal year compared to $14.57 million in last fiscal year. So basically very, very close to last fiscal year. In terms of the other expenses, that includes prescription drugs, dental, et we did see an increase of $1.3 million, and the greatest area of increase was prescription drugs. That increased from $4.5 million in fiscal year 22, last fiscal year, to $5.5 million so far in fiscal year 23. So that is most of the increase of $1 million. And, to the best of our abilities, that just is based on greater utilization of prescriptions by our employees. So again, we'll track this over time. You can see, again, consistent with the balance sheet we just went over at the bottom, our net position has dropped $3.3 million. But again, there's always a little bit of volatility, especially early in the fiscal year. So again, we'll continue to track that, but that's where we ended up the first quarter of the fiscal year. Any questions? Okay, nope. Page 4 is just a monthly breakout of the operating revenues in the health insurance fund. So, just a breakout of those 3 months that we just looked at. And then page 5 is again a monthly breakout of expenses. Pretty stable, but a little bit of volatility, I guess, in terms of total costs. And then the next page provides a greater, this is something you've seen before, of course, but fiscal year by fiscal year summary of expenses. And so you do see an uptick here in expenses. So for fiscal year 22-23, the fiscal year we're in, again, as we went through, there's been an increase of roughly $1.5 million through the first 3 months. Over the first 3 months of fiscal year 22, that's an increase of 5%. Again, I don't think that's a huge issue to be concerned about at this fiscal year, but again, as the quarters roll in, we'll be able to give you a better sense of, a longer track period. But we do see expenses increasing. I think that's something you saw last fiscal year as well. The next page, page 7, is again a tracking of our net position. There are some, we went through this and noticed some discrepancies in numbers, and so we'll likely clean this up for our next meeting. But overall, you can see that we have eaten into our net position or fund balance. We went from $36 million at the end of fiscal year 22 to $30 million today. But again, it's early in the fiscal year. We see this trend every fiscal year, more or less. So we will keep you apprised of kind of how things track. But as you know, we've kind of built up this fund balance or net position in this fund, and so we're eating into it now. So it's kind of working the way it should. In essence, acting as somewhat of a rate stabilization account for members, and that allows us to keep rates level, which is what we've done over the last several years. Any questions on the health insurance fund? Okay. All right. The Wellness Special Revenue Fund is the second fund we report on. And so the first page you see, page 8, is again a comparison of our fund balance for this fund. Again, very very stable. $647,000 as of September 30th of 22 compared to $639,000 September 30th, 2021. So I can't say there's a great deal to report here that would be of concern or great interest. Then the next page was a duplicate of that, so we handed out the statement of revenues, expenses, and changes in net position to you here at the meeting. Again, we see numbers tracking very closely to last fiscal year at the same period of time. Good health fee is the fee that employees who don't participate in, the wellness program are charged with, or they, conversely, the ones that do participate get a discount. And then the health insurance revenues are the transfers from the health insurance fund. So again, things tracking very closely to last fiscal year. And we have a, relatively healthy balance in that fund as well. So I wish I had more fascinating information to report to you, but that concludes my presentation. Happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions for Mark? And I just want to say, I think we always see the uptick at the beginning of the year because a lot of teachers get procedures done in July, August, as school is starting.
Right.
And so we see that uptick, and we see another uptick typically after Christmas break, during Christmas break as well.
Right.
I don't know that it's, and then it levels off, so.
That makes sense. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thanks. You too. Okay, 2.02, presentation discussion of the Washoe County School District Insurance Claims Experience Report as of October 22. And Lloyd, welcome.
All right, good afternoon. Lloyd Barnes, LP Insurance Services for the record. I'll be dovetailing on into what Mark just reported from the district's financials. Going over our information here, things are pretty consistent and information is tying logically, so that's a good thing. Looking at Exhibit 1, which is our just sort of our executive summary there, you can see highlighting the enrollment counts, which Mark referenced there. We've got enrollment counts down about 3% at 6,900 versus 7,100 last year. And then dependent counts, dependent units, and dependent totals are down about 4%, as you can see there. So again, pretty consistent with what Mark has seen. As we get into the claims cost, as we get to a almost complete year here, the average net claims, net paid claims are running about 5.6 million compared to about 5.56 million last year, so about 1.3 up. And on a composite basis, that is up about 4.5% at $815.95. Adding in the fixed costs, which are actually down about 8.5% at $383,000 a month. It gets a total monthly average of $6,024,607 versus 5.9 million last year, up just slightly about 0.7%. Composite basis up about 4% at 871. The large claims have, as expected, started to tick up as we started to get a full year completed now, up to about 20 claimants that we're tracking compared to 28 last year. Exhibit 2, and I think we sort of anticipated all this, and it's starting to play out. Costs are trending up. To Robert's point, there's some seasonality in there, which hopefully, as you get into the new year and deductibles reset, and people aren't using some of the services, or they're having more deductible responsibility, at least at the first part of the year. Hopefully, this stabilizes and mitigates a bit, but we are seeing that uptick as we've talked in previous meetings. Moving to Exhibit 3, getting into the actual detail of the months for all plans combined. Again, you can see there our employee counts are 6,662, and overall down about 3%. the month of October from an employee and dependent composite cost basis, if you look down there on line 31, you can see 934.75. And then as you get to the bottom on line 35, 990.35. We are up a bit, and I think this speaks to sort of what Mark was saying. You know, July, August, September, and October were all quite a bit higher than last year's average. So again, hoping that some of that is seasonality, but you know, we do see that, you know, we're going to be looking at things a few months before that. So I think this is just indicative of some of the cost increases that we're seeing, utilization increases we're seeing, not just with your plan, but with many of our other clients. So overall, again, on line 35, up, total plan costs on a composite basis up about 3.8%. Another little side note as we get into the fixed costs, the stop loss renewal has been completed for the year. Actually turned out to be very favorable. Nate, who's with us here, was able to get us to about a negative 2% increase when it was all said and done. So very, very favorable for the stop loss renewal this year. So thank you, Nate, on that activity. I'm going to move to the large claims exhibit, I think is our next topic, which is Exhibit 12. And again, I think this sort of supports that conversation. Again, we're now toward the end of the policy year, so it looks onerous and looks like there's a lot of claims there, which there are. But for a plan your size, you know, we would expect you're going to have a number of them. I think the takeaway here, which is why we were able to have a pretty positive outcome in the stop loss renewal, is your large claims aren't really hitting that stop loss level because you are at a fairly high stop loss deductible at, you know, $425,000. So we only really have one claim that exceeded the stop loss deductible at this point, but you do have a lot of them in that, you know, $200,000 to $400,000 range. So you can see there, which, you know, again, not overly surprising with a population as large as yours, but we are starting to see a bit of a trend of quite a lot of these large claims, not the like really large claims, but sort of the medium large claims. That seems to be something we're seeing a lot of. So again, something to keep an eye on as we move into next year, but certainly nothing I think for the plan to be concerned about at this point. So I think with that, I am done with the claims report. Any questions?
Questions for Lloyd? I was just going to ask, you know, we're seeing, like you said, they're not going over the 425, but we also have November and December, so some of those might creep up into that 425 because they've been going up month after month. The ones that have stopped going up, well, obviously, well, but
Should stay stabilized, correct?
so a few of them we might get some reimbursement on or not.
Absolutely, and actually, if you go back to Exhibit 3, you already have started to receive some reimbursements, and I think you saw that as we got into both September and October. There were, September and October, there was $239,000 in September that came back to the plan, and $192,000 in October that came back to the plan. There may be some more that does end up coming back as we close out the year.
And trend-wise, it's hard for me to, you know, this looks like a lot, but I remember the years that we had some really bad years, but we had two separate pages because we had the PPO, we had the two different plans, and so how does 20 compare to our previous year, those bad years? I mean,
Well, I don't have that.
Is
I don't have that in front of me, but I mean, I think in general, you're
we're right on track.
Well, actually, I think you're a little low right now. I mean, I think you're favorable
Okay.
right now compared to what you have trended over the course of time, both in frequency and in severity. So I think both of those are in a positive status right now, which is again part of why the stop loss renewal was fairly favorable this year. So, you know, knock on wood, knock on anything possible. Let's keep that trend going. So.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you, Lloyd.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thank you all.
Have a good holiday.
You guys as well.
Okay, 2.03, presentation, discussion of the Washoe County School District Group Insurance Anthem Claims Activity and Turnaround Reports as of October 2022. And is that going to be on?
Hey, Kelly's here. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, perfect. I don't think I can see you, so I don't know if you can see me either.
No, but that's okay.
Which is okay. Okay, perfect. Well, Kelly Dvorak from Anthem for the record. Nice to be here with you all this evening. Apologies that Pam could not make it. She is sick and doesn't want to get anybody else sick. So nice to be here with you all. I will start with the medical claims turnaround report. We are looking at the month of October, which is column L. So up at the top, this is both plans combined. We had just over 13,000 claims for the month of October, just for the medical claims. You can see we had just over 98% of those paid in the first 14 days, 99.6 paid in the 30 days, and then basically 100%, one left for October, paid within the 90 days. So 99.97% for the month of October. Down below in the blue shaded are the RX claims. So for October, we had 8,495 RX claims. Again, we don't have turnaround times for those because those are point of service. Those get paid right at the pharmacy at the site of service. So if you scroll down, you can see the PPO totals and the HSA totals, a breakdown of the PPO claims. Yep. I'm sorry.
You're fading in and out.
Oh, can you hear me? Can you guys hear me now?
Well, we can't hear you now. We could hear you, now we can't hear you.
How about, is it any better now?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So looking down at the PPO totals and HSA totals, we had 11,000, just shy of 12,000 claims on the PPO plan and 1,300 claims on the HSA. All of the HSA claims were paid within the 90 days. We had one outstanding over the 60 days on the PPO, so at 99.97 for claims paid for October. Any questions on the medical?
I don't think there's any questions on the medical. Go ahead and go to the dental then.
Perfect. Moving over to the dental, looking again at column L, we had 1,974 claims received for dental in the month of October. 91.75% were paid in let's see here, 14 days, and then the remaining were paid within the 30 days. So 100% of paid claims within the 30 days, nothing over that 30-day mark. So nice turnaround time on the dental plan. And that was it from me. Any other questions I can answer?
Any questions? We're not seeing any here. Thank you very much.
Awesome. Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Have a good holiday. Thank you.
You as well.
2.04, presentation, discussion of the Washoe County School District Insurance Wellness Program. Report to cover current events and programs as of October 2022. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. Mackenzie Howard for the record. Our first update today is on the health assessment. So the health assessment does close tomorrow at 11:59 p.m. They have all day to finish that health assessment. As of yesterday, Monday, November 28th, we had about 80% of our eligible members who had completed the health assessment. I do expect that to increase based on today and tomorrow. For our next two updates, we have a few stats from our wellness screenings. So our largest school site for both immunizations and wellness screenings was at Reed High School. We had a total of 81 immunizations given that day and a total of 120 wellness screenings. Our largest specialty health event was on Saturday, October 15th. I don't think this is terribly surprising. This was the last Saturday event that we hosted. We gave a total of 121 immunizations and 177 wellness screenings. We ended, based on all of our total events, we ended around 1,100 total immunizations given throughout the fall, and we ended around 1,850 wellness screenings. Any questions?
No, I don't see any questions.
All right. Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Okay. 2.04, presentation discussion of the Washoe County School District. Oh, we did wellness. We're good. 2.05, approval of the minutes. Those were sent out the October 26, 2022 Group Insurance Committee minutes. They were sent out. Did everybody get a chance to look at them?
I did make a correction after I sent them out.
Oh.
I said 2.06 for approval, and it's supposed to be 2.05.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't read that closely. I look for content. I wasn't looking at the numbers, so that's a good point. Any others? Yeah.
Yeah, Jeff Balzo for the record. It looks like Vicky Cooper was left off the roll call section.
Okay, so we need to add Vicky to that
Correct.
as being present.
Yep, thank you.
Okay.
I don't know if she was present. I think she was absent.
Okay,
But
so
she's not listed on there.
as being absent. Okay. Vicky absent. Okay. Any other corrections? Okay, seeing no other corrections, can we have a motion to adopt the minutes as corrected?
I'll move to approve the minutes.
Okay, it's been moved. Second.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the October 26th Group Insurance Committee meeting minutes. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? Okay, motion has been adopted. Okay. Next item is public comment. Do we have any public comment? 3.01? No? Okay. Announcement of the next meeting. The next meeting is going to be, we're not having a December meeting. It's been canceled, so we are having a meeting in January. It's January 25th, 2023, 4 o'clock here as usual. Without objection, we are adjourned.